Hi, I'm just looking. I'm doing lots of work, and I'm listening to this. It's on YouTube. Kybalion. It's fascinating. I think it's a really good watch. Listen, it's just to see they present the book, and you can read along, or you can just listen. I like reading along when I can, but at the moment it's just over what else I'm doing. I've made a small Ainsley order to pay for where my caravan is right now, but that's going to go to storage at some stage. I just don't know when yet. I've got some court to do. I just wanted to introduce you. This is Uncle Thomas. You can't really see it too well. It's from the National Archives in London. He was a Lord Chief Justice. He was Lord Chief Justice in, I think, London in 1841. In one of my videos I said 1941, and every time I write it, I write 1941, and I'm pondering why I do that, and I think it might be because the concept of 1841 doesn't seem, I don't know, just the concept of it is interesting for me to try and think through. But yeah, Uncle Thomas is one of the legs of my family history, and he just hangs up there because I don't have anywhere to put pictures, so he's hanging there. I don't know how else to put him up. But yeah, he and his whole family of men, the women obviously were not, but the men were all lawyers. He was a Lord Chief Justice. He was very involved in politics, and then he went into law. And he wasn't a politician, but he would protest things and get changes made, and very well respected and known. And so being the Lord Chief Justice is kind of going to happen. And so he's on my British lineage, my English lineage. I only have one sort of direct line that's English, and the rest of my stuff is Scottish and Irish, Celt, Pictish, etc. So yeah, so I have a strong lineage in the law, and so you can see my I did one unit at Victoria University in law. It was environmental law, and I got 84%, and that was almost with no effort. So Victoria University generally just genocided me out of law, because at the time I was doing a science degree and I was doing extremely poorly. And when they made me have a show cause as to why I was failing, I asked if I could be changed into a different degree, and they said no, they wouldn't take you. But instead of thinking, well, she's really good at law, why don't we put her in law and see how that goes, and actually put me on a trajectory of success. But instead they just either wanted me to continue with what I was doing or basically fuck off. So I ended up graduating in a science psychology degree and never getting anywhere because I didn't do well enough. And I tried again. That was back in, freaking hell, I don't even know, early 2000s. And recently a couple of years ago now, 22 and 23, Victoria University genocided me again based on, the COVID lie, which was really an administrative takeover, financial Cold War maneuver. That's why we had army around Footscray, where's my native area. I was there at the time. And so just after that, in 2022 and 2023, Victoria University again genocided me out of law. Stopped me from going into the building because I wouldn't write my name down on a government document. They already had all of my details in the university. There was no reason for surveillancing me. I know they were in military occupancy at the moment, that was going on. But it still was inappropriate to genocide me, because I turned around and every time I went to class I had an Aboriginal acknowledgement, no acknowledgement of our Anzac and our history, which is this, by which they get all their things. Every law court in the country is under this, and by which the parliamentarians also get their lineage, and also all of the universities being enacted has been enacted by my people. As you can see, this is one of my family. So genocided out of law because of those few things, deliberately saying that the white, you know, that one time our courts didn't deal with Aboriginals killing other Aboriginals, and then saying on another occasion they did deal with an Aboriginal killing another Aboriginal, and deliberately baiting after having in that same class you know, an acknowledgement to Aborigines. What about us? I'm not even, anyway, what about, it's not about what about us in like attention or whatever. It's more to do with what I mean is, how do I word this without getting done? But anyway, instead of realizing that the entire enterprise comes from my people to start with, and that we are the foundations upon which Aboriginal sovereign citizenship is based and has sprung and has used to catapult themselves above, and we're sick of it. And so in my other video a couple of days ago, I showed you that the Magistrates Court of Victoria has adjusted to acknowledge our elders. Unfortunately for me, I've been forced into being an elder by Royal Melbourne Hospital, so I'm too young. I'm really too young, but it's too bad. And so now I have a really big duty to do, and it's really stressful and pisses me off and upsetting. So I'm doing a really, and every time I look at this bloody case, I'm making a high court case. They may refer me to the federal court, but I now feel a big duty to deal with it all, and all of it is going in there, and every time I look at it I have to add more of just the extent and the amount of just absolute racial abuse done against me as a participant, you know, as a particle of our people. And so it's I don't even know, man. So the extent of it is phenomenal, and it's not me only. I'm just one example, but I will stand and speak that part. And the other thing is, I didn't get to it. I'm trying to say it. I'm trying to think around it. I don't think well verbally like this. I do better in writing. But what Victoria University did was, when I had a disability liaison type, you know, disability worker, he was Indian. He didn't know my culture at all, had no fucking clue. Had no fucking clue about what PTSD or CPTSD is. Only gave me 2 days of an extension, and then I had to apply for another one, even though it was under a disability application in the first place. And the university then put my email requesting culturally appropriate disability service. They sent that to what's called safe schools, or something like that, right? Which means, and then said, please don't send emails to Victoria University anymore, you've been sent to safe schools. So I'm not allowed to ask for culturally appropriate service, even though on the Attorney General's website we have a right to self-determine as a people. And we won our right to self-govern as a people, united in federal commonwealth. We're recorded in the Treaty of Versailles. We're recorded in World War I, World War II, and all the other things that we've participated in. And at the end of the day, we also now have an international treaty for natural justice that an Australian justice helped to set up. And you can look that up on the internet. And they do displeasing stuff, but they also, it is acknowledged in the courts because under the Commonwealth treaties are very well respected. And so if you're going to go down that road, you have to know your shit. Okay, it's fucking hard. Once you step there, you got to understand that you are not in a nation. Okay? Or that if you are in a nation, you now have to know your stuff to stay under God, King and Country and still work with the treaties, like the Treaty of Versailles, and remember the Hague and Geneva and United Nations Convention on the crime of the prevention and punishment of the crime of genocide, that kind of thing. All of those, they've all got to come into what you know when you work on that level. And so the High Court will want to deal with Commonwealth stuff, but also they have dealt with, and so is the Federal Court, both have dealt with international law. And so that's where the Constitution Act comes in. The Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900, Imperial. They write it now as the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act, or the Constitution Act. They shorten it to those because there are more than one version. There's an Imperial and there's one in ours. It has to be put in twice. I put it in as Imperial because of the Australian Imperial Crown has passed along the lineage down into our country. That's why I say Imperial. When they see Imperial, when I say I'm a peacemaker, when I have a Bible sitting right next to me, they look at that Bible very nervously because they're waiting for something, okay? If you don't know your shit, I wish you luck. While the Bible itself is not, quote, that law, close quote, it is the foundation, and so any law that's put in outside of the foundation can be argued. And so anything that's an act or a law in courts, you can compare it down to the foundation, which is the Authorized King James Bible here. It's also in the USA, although most people don't get it how it works, but that's, so I can't, I can only explain superficially. I don't have the capability to tell you deeply, but if you don't know your shit, it's a matter of good luck. Okay, so I've lived inside the King James since I'm going to give away my well, I would say most of my life, and so more focused since 1990 till now, but back a few more years than that. I won't give you away every detail, but so when I recall things, I can say things off my tongue because I know them, but I have difficulty. See, this is where the Jehovah's Witnesses used to come and bother me. They used to come and talk to me and say, I used to say, but the Bible says this, and they would say, where? Can you show us where the verse? And I can never show where the verse is. I don't know where it is, because I just know how it is, right? And so a lot of my stuff rolls off the tongue and is very easy. I know the concepts and I know them extraordinarily well, but I have to use indexes and topical guides and things, and that's why I use the Latter-day Saints version, because they have those biblical dictionary and topical guides and different things, and they're very, very thorough. They want the people back a long time ago. Now it's a bit more fluffy because of Zionism, but and it's very soft now, whereas before it was really in depth, profound. Like you could really learn the I'll call it esoterics, okay? And that's why I say we're more Druidic Christian. We're definitely not a Zionist Christianity, okay? So Protestantism, now I'm just going to go back to this book here, the Kybalion, 1908. It's by a man. He says the 3 initiates to disperse the attention. He didn't get attention for writing this book, though he is recorded as having written this and a lot of other things. I just got tired of holding my arm up there. Yeah, so this type of thing talks about the esoterics of how we are and where we are. And back in 1908, we were already being inundated with bullshit, and so they've been after us for fucking, I don't know, 400 years or more maybe, and they just keep hammering away. We're talking Zionists here. They've been hammering away for so long that the generations forgot about 3 generations ago, except for those that have the training and who have been focused. And it's usually people alone, because when you're together with other people, there's all that peer pressure, and you can't survive like that. You can't live that way. I've been denied everything, and I mean everything. Okay, I've had to fight and work my guts out, and you cannot be just an ordinary peacemaker. It just doesn't happen. So that's why I've been into the court and I've talked to them, and they've asked me what my occupation is. And I said, the first word I said was peacekeeper, because I was thinking about something, and then I was like, wait, no, peacemaker. Because he repeated it back to me and he goes, a peacekeeper. And I said, oh no, a peacemaker, sorry. So yeah, my words come out a bit funny, but depends what I'm thinking. And also I was thinking about, I mean, peacekeeper I say more often than I do peacemaker, so it came out easily and quickly, and I was like, no, wait, no. But what I could have said is I'm a graduate in psychology, primary education, and disability and business, and health as well. I did fitness, all of which I can't do now, but so I've still got the knowledge. I did graduate, I've done the work, I know the background. There's a whole heap of shit that I can do if I could work on my feet, and that's where the problem is for me, working on my feet, trying to say what I need to say and not be distracted by what's in front of me, and formulating the conversation without writing notes. And so that's another part of my appeal process, that the justice said he doesn't want me taking notes, and so I was just obedient. But that ended up being a disaster. So yeah, the Supreme Court has a bit of responsibility. But having talked about all this, I want to keep this relatively short. I always say that and then I don't go. I'm going to do one more thing and then I'm going to go again, because I want to keep it small. Is when you go to the High Court is the Supreme Court on this land. So once you expire sort of, or end or finish or exhaust up to the High Court, it's to the International Court. So to try and bring some international control, but you have to have the right kind of argument to know what to say and everything, and you got to be careful that the other body that you're talking to doesn't have all the stops, because they usually do. They're much more powerful, they're much smarter. They've been studying in this for a long, long time, and they have an interest, and they have more than one interest, and it going off in all various different directions, and you have to like basically call them out as a fiduciary to the people, and call them out in their position where they should be doing X, they should be doing Y, whatever, and they're not. They're doing A, B, and C instead, and so therefore they're breaking their duty. So all the gaslighting, all the racial abuse, all the psychosexual, abuse, we'll say as a word, because I said that psychosexual abuse because when you go in and talk to them, they make everything Freudian, and they're making everything psychotherapy instead of looking at the various theories, like Jungian dark psychology, for example. They don't use that. They lie on paper towards Freudianism, and that's a disaster for our people, because Freudianism is completely inappropriate, with the exception of things like Freudian slip, because they also follow higher principles. Freudian slips follow high principles. Like I said, the most often word I say is peacekeeper when I'm talking in the law, because that's what Victoria Police are, Queensland Police, whatever. And so they are a military, they're an internal military, but they're not the defence, if you know what I mean. So they're not, they're a belligerent. They've got guns, they've got organisation, they've got a leader in the commissioner. They've got, all of the things, all of the markings of a belligerent force is Victoria Police, New South Wales Police, Queensland Police, etc., right? So they have all the markings in the Hague at the very start of the Hague IV. Oh my God, I'm still talking. They have, at the very start of the Hague IV, you see a description of belligerent. I can't remember what the article numbers were, but there's the first section of articles in Hague IV describes what a belligerent is, and all these people saying when you go in and talk to the court you're acting as a belligerent. That is incorrect knowledge. It's not knowledge, it's incorrect, it's ignorant. The law is in front of you. Okay, it's in the Hague IV, in the first few articles there's a little section about it, of what they are. So when you gather together and act as a force, that potentially could be a belligerent army, whatever it is called. I don't fully know. I haven't gone past that, because I've never seen a militia, or I suppose the bike groups many years ago, decades ago, might have been to some degree, because we had weaponry. But our men are our protection. So if there's not a gun on the premises to protect you, you got a problem. And I'm not saying I've got a gun, because I haven't. I'm just saying a belligerent has a definition. It's not just someone being belligerent in a courtroom or something. It has a meaning. And so we don't go in as a one man standing and just go and start arresting people and all of this sort of thing. Although a citizen's arrest is when someone comes in and just, they're doing a crime, so they hold them until the police come. That's different. It's not belligerent. That's the people controlling. You got to be careful doing that too, but that's the people controlling what's going on around them. And the people at this caravan park have been harassing me, psychosexually abusing me. I'm glad I'm the projection object, because it shifted the dynamic, which is good in one way. but it's fucking heavy to take, I tell you. So I'm in a position where a court's going to contact me and send me my papers. Not my papers, no, I'm not saying show your papers, I mean court papers. And so I got to pick them up when I go to the post office. So there are ways to do things, even in a hard, difficult position. I'm going to do another video shortly, in a few minutes. I want to look at some files, which is fascinating stuff. So, but I want to show you a video first. So I'm going to do that in a separate one because it's going to get way too long and it won't upload. Alright, so that's Uncle Thomas. Many of us have strong blood like this. Okay? And we should honour those ancestors and our history and our inherent strengths. And that's what this book, the Kybalion, talks about. We should go with our strengths. There's another one, I can't remember what it was called, but I did one yesterday. I might show you a series of really cool audio books you can look at and listen to. But one of them says you should go with what you're good at. Oh no, yeah, it was this one. I think it was this morning, so it must have been this one. To go with what you're good at. You can master any area. Yes, you can practice and get it right and do it and all of that. But if you're already inherently good at something, you should be doing that. Doesn't matter what society is saying to do. If you're already good at it, that's the easy route to success in whatever area. Having said that, you can master any other thing that you can adapt and pivot and go to something else. So, but more often, it's better to be in your lineage. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're inherently got a family of lawyers, you're going to inherently be good at that. Alternatively, obviously, some of those kids will go into other areas. But anyway, I'm a female talking about it. It should be males in the professions, but at this point in the current environment, I should have been in that area. And that's what it is. And I am, unfortunately, in that area, and I'm going to be a bugbear to that parliament. So, Premier, you just be waiting, sweetheart. That's all I can say. Okay, have a good day.